Hello, everybody. It is Professor Rocco, ya boy, here again with another episode of Age of Sigmar 101. And today is the Warscroll episode. There was a question in the chat before in some of my videos asking, how can I tell what's a good Warscroll? And you know what? Here we are, because people are also asking, how do I choose what's a hammer, what's an anvil, what's chaff? Why did I leave like 200 points for support in my list building thing? That's an afterthought. And so here's some hints, lovely tips. In my mind, there are no inherently bad units in Age of Sigmar. Now, hear me out. There are some horrible, horrible war scrolls. There's some monsters that are overcosted, undercosted. That gets adjusted with time. But for me, I can always try to find a way for my army to fit some of these things in. And there are going to be some units that look amazing on paper, like someone's like 30 Iron Drakes going right in up your ass. They don't fit because I can't have the points for it. Phoenix Guard, amazing in Cities of Sigmar. But if Eternal Guard are cheaper and I could get similar enough buffs on them, then all of a sudden I'm saving myself 30 points per unit of 10, you know? And if they don't fit your playstyle, they just won't. And that's okay. That doesn't make them bad units. And we're just going to go on to here. So now, first, we're going to go over just how I look at a War Scroll. And this right here is a Bladegeist Revenant War Scroll. It highlights here fast movement, great save, ignores save modifiers. That's ignoring Ren, that's ignoring cover for pluses and minuses. We can reroll hit rolls for attacks if we're near a Spirit Torment or a Chain Gas unit. Awesome stuff, because you're usually bringing Spirit Torments anyway. And so it's not like it's a tax. When I say something's a tax, it's like I have to bring dead points in my army of like a few hundred points for different units for like battalion bonuses and things. And it's like it's just there in order for me to get something else that I actually want. But in this, I want to bring Spirit Torments in a Nighthaunt army. That works out great. And then the last one, Whirling Death. This unit can retreat and charge to get extra attacks. We fly, as we can see. We're flying over screens to go and hit those juicy hammers behind. No one's safe from us with this unit. There's no protection. We're a hammer here. And if you get a big enough unit and they're 4-up safe, you know what? They're a little bit of an anvil too, but they're mostly a hammer. So, looking at some of these things, it's 90 points for 5 of them. And sometimes you're like, oh, that's great. You get a big, beefy unit of 20. That's a lot of points. Then you look at something like Dread Scythe Harridans, where I don't have the War Scroll, but just hear me out. They're cheaper. So sometimes they're better for the situation that you want. Because this is a great unit, amazing unit, but sometimes you can't fit enough of them into a list in order to do what you want to do. Now, Games Workshop, when they make all these war scrolls and crap, they have plans. They think that the Gorgon is going to be amazing in Beast of Chaos. It isn't actually the hot mess it is. If we look at these rules in this war scroll and we look at everything that it can do, there was obviously a staff meeting somewhere. They're like, "Sir, this is amazing," and I'm like, "Yes, this is totally an offensive unit. Nailed it, knocked it out of the park. Great job." And again, sometimes things that are viewed as bad units, like I'm going to think in Stormcast, the Fulminators I'm Noah for bringing into Living City, are bad in their books, but because they have good enough war scrolls, and then we put different synergies with them and different abilities, that all of a sudden we can bring up these bad units into being something. Now, and again, some units are more useful, and again, there's rules updates. The metas can shift. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking like everything in Anvil Guard. There's a battalion there that gives you +1 to hit and maybe also +1 to wound against monsters. Where it's a bonus to attacking monsters is the beginning and end of that statement. And no one would take that battalion because there weren't enough monsters around. And all of a sudden, your like 18 drop Anvil Guard list now is like a 3 drop because you take that battalion and go hunt you some damn monsters because they're all over the meta now. And then, again, some end up being bad with their base stats, but then we build them up with these command abilities, with these allegiance abilities, and there's just ways to bring them up to being usable. Because a Gorgon's bad, but even it can be used as a distraction and be mildly punchy in the Corn Battalion and Beast of Chaos. So I'm going to go over now some examples of what's a hammer, what's an anvil, what's chaff, and then that support unit I kind of alluded to in my other videos, but we didn't really get there. First things first, though, I think hammers, I'm thinking destruction. We're thinking about my guys, the Iron Guts over here. We got good movement that because of the ogre ability of being hungry, they get +2 to that. So all of a sudden we're moving as fast as that blade geist. A good armor save for their army. Awesomely good wounds, very chunky. Uh, great attacks profiles, good range, 3 damage. Come on now, that's awesome. Awesome. These guys are what Trogoffs wish they were, let me tell you. And they've got a great ability with that Rune Maw over there to ignore the effects of spells and endless spells on a 6-up in this kind of magic-heavy meta. Awesome. These guys are self-sufficient. They go around, and even when other people die or flee the battle, there's that down to the Iron Guts so you can reroll your hits and save rolls of 1 there. Beautiful. Beautiful unit. You don't even need to throw much buffs on there, but you know what? You can. And you can debuff your opponents that these guys are going to go into, and all of a sudden, it's a powerhouse of a hammer unit. Let's go and beat up everybody around here. Awesome hammer unit. Okay, it's laying guard. So, when you're looking at these and you're thinking Deepkin, you're like, oh god, more Sar Eels, ow! These aren't that. These are their ugly cousins, the defensive eels that no one ever talks about. These are probably the best anvil in the game, in all honesty, because of the buffs you can put onto them and their abilities. So 4 wounds apiece. I guess I have a thing about thick models. I don't know. But 14 movement with fly there, 14 inches, 4-up save. And these guys also ignore rend and their ability there, biovoltaic barrier. Awesome. And when you charge, you get +1 to your save. Sweet. Now the attacks, they all hit and wound well. They can do some damage. No rend though, so you're not. These aren't really your dedicated hammers, but because you can put them in cover to give them another +1 to their save. The fact that you can give them the turtle aura to give them another +1 to their save. All of a sudden, these guys are a 2-up unrendable save. And hell, man, let's say they charge in. Even then, they end up being a 3-up unrendable on the charge. If you keep them in that turtle buff, that makes it a 2. Yeah, amazing. And these guys have the speed, movement, and the run and charge abilities that Deep can offer to be able to just project their power at least 20 inches of movement on the run and charge, plus the at least a 2 on the run on the charge roll there, which you can re-roll because that they just happen to have a hornblower. You know what? Awesome anvil that you can put anywhere you want on the board and into whatever you need tied up. Alright. I've already kind of dunked on Beast of Chaos a little bit, and I'm sure I'm going to get flamed in the comments for the Gorgon thing and the Cygor thing. Chaff. They're disposable. They're just there. They're cheap. They're there to die for you, more important shit. And Ungors, even more specifically, are there to be sacrificed to your Herdstone to get you summoning points. Ungors suck. In big numbers, you know what? You get those rerolls to hit. You give them a shield there, 5-up save, 6-inch movement again. 4 bravery. You know how easy it is to make these guys automatically run if there's just a unit of 10 of them? You just kill a couple, and then all of a sudden, they're you kill 2, they're functionally bravery 2, you roll that 6, 4 more run away. Ungors. They're chaff, man. They're just there to die and look good. Well, they don't even look good doing it. They die in droves. It is just rough being an Ungor. But you know what? That is their role. That's why they're there. They're there so that your Bestigor and your Bulgor and your Doombull, and hell, maybe a Gorgon if you're crazy running 4 of them, they can live. These guys, what they're good for, they take up space. That's it. Let's say you got a few units of these. They're taking up space. They're your screens. They're going up front. They think they're going to get promoted to being Bestigor after this, and they're just stupid Ungor. They don't know better. they're out there. They're gonna go and get smacked by whatever big hammer unit you had charging in there. They're gonna murder them because you know what? A unit of 10 does as well as a unit of 20, which does as well as probably a unit of 40 at this point. So you don't take them in big units like this. You know what you're using them in the chaff roll is it's just a little unit of 10. They're a speed bump. You know, they're gonna stop your opponent from getting to you juicy shit, and they're just there to die. Because somebody has to die, and we have to trade out points, and it is the humble Ungor. All right, now hear me out. I know in my list building video, I'm like, you know, optimize it with some support pieces at the end. You've already picked out your hammers, your anvils, your chaff. So this is my, as a YouTuber thing, saying I apologize for not explaining support pieces in what I do with these. With my last 300 points, because, you know, you need leaders. They're not always going to all be hammers or anvils in their own right, you know. Not everybody's a Maw Crusher. Not everybody's a Frost Phoenix, giving out a Aura of Nigwin to be wounded in melee. You know, we're not the 3 damage fist. You can make 4 or 5. That's fine. But for 100 points, the humble Knight Heralder, Herald, we'll call him. I don't care what you call him. Just don't call him late to a battle, because what he can do for your army is not damage. Not damage. Look at that. Look at those stats, bro. You're hitting on a 3, wounding on a 4. Neg 1 run 1 damage. And most of you doing 4 damage in melee, and even then, it's looking like you may be getting 1 damage through. He ain't there to get into a fist fight. He's not even there for the shooting attack. That's not really a shooting attack. It's an ability, man. You can run him up, too, because it's just an ability. Because it's not a shooting weapon. And you can just pick that terrain feature. You know, get that Vuvuzela going. And, you know, maybe a little bit of Little Boy Blue come blow your horn. Blow somebody up off some terrain. You know, that I've had games where it was actually a Nighthaunt player that had 5 of their heroes on a hill. And I'm like, you know what? That hill's going to hear the sound of music real quick. And then I double turned him and did it again and killed them all. It was great. I had a blast. Again, 10 out of 10 would recommend you putting your army out of position for this guy to go and fuck your day up. Really, what we're here for, though, is that ability Onwards to Glory, where you can make a unit retreat in charge or run in charge. And that is huge. You know, people are throwing these in living cities with my Fulminator idea, taking it to the next level. For 100 points, hear me out. Follow me, camera guy. For 100 points, you can make your Fulminator, because they charged in, right? They smacked some shit. Now their 3 damage weapons are down to 1. All right. Knight Herald over here is going to toot his little horn. All of a sudden, my Fulminators come back out just 3 inches away to charge back in again. This is that cycling charges. This is that medieval knight tactic. That's that good Total War Warhammer feel. We get to do that over and over. I get to send in Dracolines, the flying furry missile of lion and terror, because of this. And this is because of the synergies this Knight Herald does for us. You know, it's just that one ability that builds in that synergy where we see things like we get bonuses on the charge. You know, we can pair that with different abilities to get extra attacks and different. But, you know, this is what I'm looking for here when I'm thinking, all right, what are some synergy pieces? You know, there are wizards and priests that provide that synergy. There are generals that make certain units in your army battle line. You know, that's that optimizing support thing where sometimes they're not great in combat. They're not that defensive. They're this awkward middle ground. But if they still have a purpose, damn it, I'm bringing them. And with that, now we're going to get to a bit of class participation here. So, like I said in the slide here, yeah, I'm doing slides again. What up? You know, just hit the comments up. Tell me what you like using as a hammer unit in your army. You know, let's see what people are doing to beat the snot out of each other. And with that, thank you for coming to class today. And as your professor, it is my honor to say, class dismissed.